The cold air clung to us as we stood beneath the flickering lantern on the cracked pavement of the Carnival's midway. Shadows stretched long and twisted between the rusted rides and peeling tents, the silence broken only by the distant, warped strains of a calliope. Tommy's brows were furrowed, his jaw tight with restrained frustration. "Evelyn," he said, voice low and edged with disbelief, "I don't know what you want me to see here. This place is just a bunch of old, broken junk. You can't seriously believe in all this supernatural stuff. It's just stories your grandmother told you to scare you." I stared at him, my heart pounding hard enough to echo in my ears. "It's real, Tommy. I've seen things that can't be explained away. The Carnival isn't just abandoned, it's alive in a way that's unnatural. It's been calling me. It's my legacy whether I like it or not." He shook his head, taking a step back, the dim light catching the wary glint in his eyes. "I want to believe you, I do, but there has to be another explanation. Fear makes people see monsters in shadows." I swallowed hard, my voice cracking. "You think I'm afraid, I'm terrified, but this isn't just fear talking. The Carnival is waiting for me, Tommy. Waiting to claim me like it did my grandmother." The tension between us thickened, a fragile thread threatening to snap. Tommy ran a hand through his messy hair and let out a breath. "Okay," he said finally, "show me something real." I nodded, leading him deeper into the maze of decayed tents and flickering lights. We reached the broken hall of mirrors, the glass fogged and cracked, reflecting warped, distorted images of us both. Suddenly, without warning, a shard of mirror shattered, sending glittering fragments skittering across the ground. Tommy jumped back, eyes wide. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. I didn't answer. My gaze was fixed on the shadows that seemed to ripple across the broken glass. In that moment, I saw the flicker of something else, something watching us. Tommy's bravado faltered, replaced by a dawning unease. Maybe there's more to this than I thought," he admitted quietly. For the first time, I saw the real weight of fear settle in his eyes. As the distorted carnival melody drifted through the air, a strange calm settled between us. Tommy's voice was low but steady. "I'm with you, Evelyn. No matter what comes." It was a fragile promise, but in the heart of the cursed carnival, it was enough to spark a flicker of hope. Yet beneath that hope simmered a cold truth. The carnival's grip was tightening, and our fight was just beginning. The shadows weren't just illusions anymore, they were warnings. Our bond was fragile, tested by doubt and terror, but it was the only thing keeping the encroaching darkness at bay. The carnival's sinister dance went on around us, and with every step, the line between friend and foe blurred. I didn't know if we could survive what lay ahead, but I knew this: I wouldn't face it alone. And Tommy, skeptical, stubborn Tommy, wasn't ready to let me fall into the carnival's endless night. The night thickened, and the carnival awaited. Our story was far from over. "Come on," I said, gripping Tommy's arm. "There's more you need to see." And with that, we plunged further into the heart of the nightmare. The carnival's call was growing louder, and so was the legacy I was determined to break. The mist clung thickly to the air as Evelyn and Tommy stepped cautiously onto the cracked, faded wood of the carousel platform. The once joyful ride was a grotesque parody of itself, chipped paint peeled from the horses' bodies, their once bright manes dulled to sickly streaks of grey. Yet as Evelyn's gaze fixed on one particular horse, she felt a tremor of unease ripple through her. The creature's glassy eye seemed to shift, bleeding a strange, iridescent color that pulsed rhythmically, as if the carousel was more than a mere machine. Tommy's voice broke the silence. "This place's heart is beating. Can you feel it?" Evelyn nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in her throat. The carousel began to spin, slow at first, then accelerating wildly. The world around them blurred, the carnival tents stretched and bent like reflections in a disturbed pond, colors bleeding and twisting into surreal patterns that defied logic. The merry tune that once echoed with innocent delight warped into a discordant cacophony, the notes stretching and snapping like a spider's web being torn. With every revolution, Evelyn's stomach lurched. She gripped Tommy's arm, her knuckles white. "We have to keep moving," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the twisted music. This isn't just a place, it's alive." Tommy's eyes darted nervously. Alive and hungry, they stumbled off the carousel, the ground beneath seeming to pulse with a heartbeat matching the ride's furious pace. The tents surrounding them shifted subtly, their fabric rippling as if breathing. Shadows stretched long and thin, crawling up and down the striped canvas like dark fingers. The familiar laughter of carnival goers echoed faintly but was warped, twisted into eerie laughter that pricked at the edges of sanity. Evelyn pulled her coat tighter around her. The main tent loomed ahead, its entrance a gaping maw of darkness. As they approached, the carnival music morphed into a slow, sinister melody that vibrated deep in Evelyn's chest. It was a song she didn't want to hear, yet couldn't turn away from. The tent's walls seemed to ripple like water, a living membrane that swallowed light and sound. Inside, the air was thick with a damp, metallic scent, the unmistakable odor of rust and decay mixed with something sweeter, something poisonous. The shadows inside danced with a life of their own, flitting just beyond the edge of vision. Evelyn's heart pounded as her footsteps echoed hollowly, swallowed quickly by the oppressive silence. Ahead, the funhouse mirrors awaited. Once a source of childish amusement, now they were portals into nightmares. Evelyn caught her reflection and gasped. Her image fractured, splitting into dozens of shards, each shard showing a twisted version of herself. Some smiled with malicious grins, others wept tears of black ink, and all whispered secrets she dared not listen to. "You belong here," they hissed. "You always have." A surge of panic rose in her chest, but with it came a stubborn flame of defiance. She clenched her fists and forced herself to focus on the real Evelyn, the one who refused to surrender. She stepped forward, shattering the illusions with a determined shout, the glass cracking and splintering under the weight of her will. Beyond the mirrors, the carnival seemed to palpitate in rhythm with her racing pulse. A gust of wind swept through the tents, carrying with it the mingled sounds of laughter and screams. The fabric walls swayed as if inhaling deeply, ready to exhale a storm of terror. Evelyn's breath caught. This place was a living nightmare, a monster breathing beneath its mask of joy. Tommy's voice pierced the tension. "We can't let it win." Evelyn nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. The carnival's pulse was relentless, its hunger insatiable. Yet deep inside, a fierce resolve took root. She would not be another lost soul, another name etched into the faded posters. She would fight, clawing her way through the cursed joy and crushing terror alike. As they moved forward, the carnival's twisted landscape shifted again, tents folded into themselves, rides seemed to dissolve into mist, and the sky above churned with unnatural clouds. Time felt fractured, moments stretching and collapsing unpredictably. Every step was a battle, every breath a defiance. Evelyn's senses screamed for escape, but her mind held firm, fending off the seductive whispers that promised relief if only she surrendered. The carnival's pulse was growing stronger, its beat a drum that echoed through her bones. It was a warning, a challenge. To survive, Evelyn would have to embrace the terror and the joy, the pain and the pleasure, all the cursed dualities the carnival embodied. Ahead lay the unknown, but she would not face it alone. Tommy was by her side, skeptical but steadfast, a beacon of human light in the shadows of nightmare. The carnival's pulse quickened, and Evelyn steeled herself. This living nightmare was far from over, but she was ready. The fight for her soul, for the legacy she sought to break, had only just begun. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and a low, guttural laugh echoed through the shifting tents. Somewhere in the shadows, the ringmaster watched, his cracked porcelain mask glinting in the flickering light, a sinister smile playing at the edges. The carnival's heartbeat was also his, and it would not stop until it claimed her entirely. Evelyn swallowed hard, gripping Tommy's hand tightly. "We keep moving," she said, voice resolute, "no matter what comes." And with that, they stepped deeper into the carnival's pulsing, twisted heart, where joy and terror were one and the nightmare never ended. The tent was heavy with shadows, the flickering lanterns casting grotesque shapes that danced on canvas walls like restless spirits. Evelyn's breath caught as a pale figure emerged from the darkness, eyes flickering like candlelight, steady and unwavering despite the eerie surroundings. Mara's presence was both a comfort and a reminder of the liminal trap they were caught in. "There is a way," Mara whispered, her voice barely rising above the crackling of the lantern flames. "A way to end this, to break the curse that binds us all. But it will not be easy." Evelyn's heart pounded as she stepped closer, her fingers trembling. "Tell me. Anything." Mara's gaze flickered, shadows playing across her translucent face. "The ringmaster, he's the source, the anchor of the carnival's power. To break free, you must confront him directly. Not run, not hide. Face him and unravel the dark pact that holds him and us all captive." The words hung heavy in the stale air, a fragile beacon amid the suffocating dread. Evelyn swallowed hard, the weight of generations pressing down on her. Her grandmother's warnings echoed in her mind, stories of terror masked as joy, of escape that was never truly escape. The carnival seemed to pulse around her, the grotesque rides creaking, the tents whispering secrets. The malevolence that had stalked her steps grew thicker, the laughter of the ringmaster echoing distantly, a sinister melody that promised pain and despair. Evelyn's eyes drifted to a faded photograph clenched in her hand, her grandmother, stern and wary, a woman who had once fled these very shadows. The legacy was hers now, the choice laid bare. Could she summon the courage to face the embodiment of her inherited terror? The carnival's mask of cursed joy was slipping, revealing the abyss beneath. The night deepened, and with it, Evelyn's resolve began to harden. The path ahead was shrouded in darkness, but for the first time, there was a glimmer of hope, a chance to break the cycle. But the carnival would not relinquish its hold without a fight. The game was set, and Evelyn was at its center. Her past and future intertwined in a dance of shadows, and the final act was about to begin. In the silence that followed Mara's revelation, Evelyn felt the sharp edge of fear mingled with determination. The nightmare was far from over, but now she knew what she must do. The ringmaster awaited, and with him, the fate of her soul. With a steadying breath, Evelyn stepped out into the night, the carnival's twisted lights beckoning her forward. The time for running was over. The moment of reckoning had arrived. And somewhere in the distance, the ringmaster's laughter curled through the mist, dark and inviting, promising a confrontation that would change everything. The night settled around the carnival like a suffocating shroud, the lingering echoes of laughter and screams weaving into a haunting lullaby of past and present. I found myself seated beneath the skeletal remains of a once grand lantern post, its flickering light casting long, trembling shadows across the cracked earth. The air was thick with the scent of damp wood and rusted metal, a tangible reminder of decay and forgotten joy. My fingers traced the imaginary outlines of the ringmaster's cracked porcelain mask, the sinister smile etched permanently into its surface. It was an emblem of the legacy I carried, a legacy that twisted joy into horror and hope into despair. I thought of grandmother Edith, her stories fragmented and bittersweet, warnings wrapped in affection and fear. She had fled this place, escaping its grasp, but the carnival had never truly released her, not from memory, not from blood. The carnival's duality ignored at me the promise of wonder and delight, a circus of light and laughter, masking something far darker. That mask was the curse, worn by the ringmaster and now threatening to consume me. Tummy's boots crunched softly nearby as he paced the perimeter, his silhouette outlined against the ghostly glow of the carnival's fading lights. His skepticism had been a shield and a burden for us both, but tonight, even his rugged demeanor seemed tempered by the oppressive atmosphere. A sudden gust of wind stirred the tattered banners overhead, their fabric whispering secrets in the cold air. The faintest echo of laughter drifted through the mist, morphing seamlessly into distant screams that clawed at the edges of my sanity. "It's like this place breathes pain," Tommy muttered, his voice low but steady. "It's alive with it." I nodded, unable to speak. The carnival was not just a place. It was a living nightmare woven into my bloodline. Then Mara appeared, as ethereal as ever, her pale form flickering like candlelight in the darkness. Her eyes, those haunting, flickering orbs, met mine with a mixture of sorrow and something dangerously close to hope. "The cycle is old," she whispered, her voice barely more than a breeze. "Centuries of souls trapped, of joy twisted into pain. But it can be broken. You must confront what lies beneath the mask." Her words ignited a spark deep within me, a fragile ember of defiance against the suffocating dread. I wanted to believe her, to hold on to the possibility that our torment was not eternal. But the carnival's grip was strong, and the shadows around us seemed to pulse with anticipation. I stood, the chill biting through my clothes, and looked out over the carnival grounds. Mist curled around broken rides and faded tents, swallowing the remnants of laughter and light. The memories of grandmother's warnings echoed louder now, her voice a spectral guide through the labyrinth of inherited terror. "I won't let this define me," I vowed aloud, more to myself than anyone else. "I'll end this. For her, for me, for anyone who's ever been trapped here." Tommy stepped closer, his skeptical gaze softening. "Then we fight. Together." The carnival held its breath, waiting to see if the legacy of fear would claim another victim, or if, for the first time in a century, the cycle would be broken. My heart hammered with dread and desperate resolve as I prepared to face the darkness head-on. The carnival's joy was poisoned, but I was determined to unmask the terror beneath and reclaim my fate. As the lantern's light flickered one last time before succumbing to darkness, I felt the weight of generations settle upon my shoulders. The legacy was mine now, and I would bear it with every shred of strength I possessed. The carnival's nightmare was far from over, but so was my fight. The air around us thickened, heavy with a palpable tension that seemed to warp the very fabric of reality. The moment we stepped closer to the towering clock that dominated the carnival's decayed center, the ground beneath our feet felt unstable, as if the earth itself were breathing erratic, uneven. The clock's enormous hands spun uncontrollably, sometimes hurtling backward, then jerking forward with a violent snap that echoed like a gunshot. Each tick bled into the next, a fractured rhythm that unsettled my bones. Tommy's face, usually a bastion of skeptical defiance, bore the same raw confusion I felt. He clenched his fists, jaw tight. "This isn't right," he muttered, eyes darting nervously around the shifting carnival. "It's like time's been broken here." I nodded, swallowing the lump forming in my throat. The stories my grandmother whispered in fragments the endless night, the impossible hours, suddenly made a terrifying kind of sense. We were trapped, caught in a temporal snare woven by the carnival's malevolent will. The world around us began to dissolve and reassemble in jagged fragments. The carousel's chipped paint shimmered unnaturally, the horses' eyes gleaming with a sinister intelligence. As the ride spun, the mirrors surrounding it fractured, reflecting not just our current selves but ghostly images of past victims, their eyes hollow, their mouths open in silent screams. The faces blurred and merged, a phantasmal dance of despair that clawed at my sanity. "Evelyn," Tommy's voice cracked, pulling me back from the edge. "We have to keep moving. This place feeds on our fear." Every step forward felt like wading through molasses, the carnival's twisted architecture bending and folding like a living nightmare. The tents stretched impossibly tall, their striped fabric rippling though no breeze stirred. Shadows lengthened and shortened erratically, as if the sun itself had lost its way. Time splintered further. I caught glimpses of myself and Tommy in overlapping loops, running, screaming, collapsing, trapped in endless cycles of terror. The cacophony of our own cries echoed around us, a maddening chorus that threatened to drown out reason. I wanted to turn away, to shut my eyes and disappear into the comforting void of oblivion, but I couldn't. Not yet. Gripping Tommy's hand, I felt a flicker of warmth and reality pierce the suffocating gloom. "We can't let it own us," I whispered, voice trembling but resolute. "We have to fight." His skeptical gaze softened into something fierce, a reflection of my own determination. Together, we pressed on, navigating the carnival's impossible geometry, the upside-down tents, the twisted funhouse mirrors, the silent, watching crowds of phantoms. As the clock's hands spun wildly overhead, I realized the carnival's power wasn't just in the physical realm, but in this fractured time, this ceaseless loop that fed on our memories and fears. Breaking free meant confronting the core of the curse itself, the dark heart beating beneath the carnival's twisted joy. With every agonizing repetition, my resolve hardened. The carnival might stretch time into a tormenting nightmare, but I would not let it define me. The legacy of fear was mine to inherit, but also mine to challenge. The air thickened again, the ticking slowing, as if the carnival sensed the shift. I looked at Tommy, eyes blazing with a terrifying hope. The battle for our souls was far from over, but for the first time, I believed we could win. And then the world blurred, the clock struck an impossible hour, and the carnival's nightmare began anew. The air inside the Hall of Mirrors was thick, a suffocating blend of mist and stale carnival dust that clung to Evelyn's skin like a second, unwanted layer. Her footsteps echoed hollowly on cracked tiles as she stepped cautiously forward, eyes darting to the gleaming glass panels lined in uneven rows. Each mirror reflected her image, but none showed her true self. Instead, the reflections twisted and warped her features into grotesque caricatures, faces contorted in terror, eyes hollowed by despair, mouth stretched in silent screams. She stopped, breath hitching as one reflection morphed into a version of herself with skin pale and cracked like porcelain, the eyes black pits of hopelessness. The figure whispered her darkest fears, a sibilant voice that seemed to come from within her own mind. "You are nothing but a pawn in this endless game. Surrender and the pain will end." Evelyn's heart thudded violently, a surge of nausea washing over her. She wrenched her gaze away, but the hall seemed to close in, mirrors multiplying until the space felt infinite, a labyrinth of fractured selves. The carnival's curse was no longer just a haunting presence. It was a psychological prison, a web woven from her own insecurities and inherited terror. From the shadows a slow, deliberate clap echoed, chilling her blood. Evelyn turned sharply to see the ringmaster stepping into the dim light, his tall, gaunt frame shrouded in a threadbare coat. The cracked porcelain mask covered his face, a sinister smile frozen beneath his top hat. His eyes, dark and unreadable behind the mask's cracks, seemed to bore into her soul. "Bravo, Evelyn," he intoned, voice dripping with honeyed menace. "You dance so well on the edge of despair, but why resist? Why not embrace the release I offer? No more fear, no more pain. Just eternal performance in my grand carnival." The flickering carnival lights cast eerie shadows across his figure, turning the cracks in the mask into a web of fractures, symbolic chains binding him to this cursed existence. Evelyn swallowed hard, fighting the strange pull his words exerted. The seductive nature of the curse was embodied in that smile, a promise of escape that was in truth a trap. "I'm not your puppet," she whispered, voice trembling but resolute. The ringmaster tilted his head, amused. "Such fire. But every fire burns out." Determined, Evelyn raised her hand and slammed it against the nearest mirror. The glass shattered with a deafening crack, shards raining down like frozen tears. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. The fragmented reflections scattered, breaking the illusions that had ensnared her mind. The ringmaster's smile faltered, the mask's cracks deepening as if wounded by her defiance. "Clever," he conceded, "but the carnival is eternal." Evelyn's breathing steadied, eyes blazing with newfound strength. In a fractured mirror across the hall, her reflection shifted once more, not a victim, but a warrior. Sharp eyes met hers, fierce and unwavering. "I will not be your legacy," she declared, stepping forward through the shards. "Not now, not ever." The ringmaster recoiled into the shadows, the mask's smile fading as the hall of mirrors began to dissolve around her. But the battle was far from over. The illusions had been broken, but the carnival's malevolence pulsed still, waiting for the next moment to strike. Evelyn's hands trembled as she wiped the sweat from her brow, heart pounding with the weight of what she had faced and what was yet to come. The seductive darkness had tested her, and she had survived. But the path ahead was darker still, and the ringmaster's mask lingered in her mind, a haunting symbol of the curse she was determined to break. As she moved toward the exit of the hall, the carnival's twisted laughter echoed faintly, a reminder that the nightmare was not finished with her yet. Yet, beneath the fear, a fierce resolve burned bright, a promise to fight, to endure, and to reclaim the joy that had been stolen by cursed delight. Evelyn stepped into the misty night beyond the mirrors, the carnival's shadows chasing her steps, but her eyes no longer reflected the terror of the past. They held the fire of a survivor, scarred, yes, but unbroken. And somewhere deep within the carnival's heart, the ringmaster watched, the cracks in his mask widening, knowing the true game was only just beginning. "You may break my illusions," he whispered to the night, "but the carnival never closes." With that, the carnival's pulse quickened, and Evelyn's fight for freedom surged forward into the darkness.